Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Final Fantasy. Last time we went to the north and killed Garland, and we obtained the loot, which also helped with the fixing of the bridge. Today, we're going to be going to the east, to the city of Pravoka, to hopefully get a boat. First, we have to take care of these goblins in the way. Last time we had attempted to make the travel to Pravoka a little bit early, but that ended up not being a very good idea because I forgot to heal beforehand. But that's fine. So now I should be ready for the journey. I'm going to use a bit of strategy here because these are enemies I haven't faced in this playthrough yet, and I know wargwolves can be a bit dangerous. Or not. Either way, it's never a bad idea to use a little bit of MP. Except for when it is. Which is most of the time. But I'm not going to focus too much on that. These are typically the most boring combats, other than, you know, fighting goblins in the very start. Alright. So we're just going to keep heading east. We're going to go over this little cleft here. And that is an ogre. Ogres aren't too bad, especially when they're alone. It's just kind of like a big goblin. And like that, it's gone. Now here we're going to head to a little bit to the south, and here we are at Pravoka. This is the second town in the game. And as such, if you're following this, you continue, I would suggest going through all the fun commodities of the town and buying some new gear. That's typically what I do, considering the swords and armor and such you start with usually will not cut it for the near stuff. So I'm going to get a battle axe and a scimitar, and then I'm going to be broke again. So before we go on to buying more stuff, we are going to have to do a bit more grinding. However, I do feel I am ready for Bicky. This is a kind of mini-boss of sorts. It's typically not very difficult, though. I almost forgot I have that sleep spell. I honestly never use it because this is like the only situation it's actually handy. Now, as you can see, with the new weaponry in hand, we are much more capable of taking these guys out. Where they may have been a hassle with the swords that I started with. So we took them all out. And as such, we get the reward of the ship. The ship is a pretty important item. And is very necessary, so you can't really skip it. But that's kind of obvious. So now I'm going to see about getting some new spells for my spellcasters because they are lacking a bit. I'm going to grab Temper, that's a very good spell to have. And does carry to the end of the game. So now that we've done all that, just to the south, you can find the ship. Which you could use to cross all this water, but doesn't matter how much you explore, you'll eventually realize that you are very trapped in the island. As you aren't actually in an ocean, you're in a little you're in a little lake in the center of an island, which is in the shape of a donut. Said island you spend most of the early game in, but leaving the island is a very big part of the game. Typically though, you finish it by the end of the intro section, as I call it, since you don't really do much here. You just kind of do a dungeon and fight like 2 bosses. And so we've made it to the town of Elfheim. This is a little elven town. Doesn't have anything super handy that you couldn't get other places. Except for, I guess, a dagger. It's pretty good. And a saber for weapons. Other than that, you're not looking at much. The spells, however, are very good, despite needing a much higher level for you to get. I don't have enough money for that. Oopsie daisy. Let's see if I can sell some old stuff. It's looking like I do not have the money. So I'm gonna have to do a bit of fighting without healing, unfortunately. But that should be okay. Grinding becomes infinitely easier after this point in the game, as we are going to be getting a mass attack spell, which allows us to hit multiple enemies with one swoop. which is very good, as the next area now I'm going to go use the N because Sabrina's not looking super good. And that is going to conclude this episode of Final Fantasy 1. I will see you all next time.